The rain came down in sheets that November night in Seattle, the kind of relentless downpour that made the world feel like it was ending. Marcus Chen gripped his steering wheel tighter as he navigated the slick streets, exhaustion pulling at every muscle in his body. 14 hours at the construction site, and all he wanted was to collapse into bed. Then he saw her, a figure in white, standing on the wrong side of the Fremont Bridge railing. "Wait!" Marcus's voice cracked as he slammed on his brakes, his truck fishtailing slightly on the wet pavement. "Please wait." The woman turned, and even through the rain and darkness, Marcus could see her eyes. Empty, hollowed out by a pain he recognized all too well. She couldn't have been more than 26, wearing what looked like a soaked wedding dress. Her dark hair hung in wet tangles around her face, and she clutched something against her chest with both hands. "Stay back," she said, her voice barely audible over the storm. "I mean it. Just stay back." Marcus raised his hands, showing her his palms. His heart hammered against his ribs, and for a moment, he was transported back 3 years to another rainy night. Another bridge, another moment of desperation. "My name is Marcus," he called out, taking slow, deliberate steps toward her. "What's yours?" She hesitated, then whispered, "Isabella, Isabella Reeves." "Isabella," Marcus repeated, tasting the name. "That's beautiful. Kind of old-fashioned." "My grandmother's name," she said automatically, then seemed surprised she'd answered. "Isabella, I don't know what brought you here tonight," Marcus said carefully, "but I need you to know something. Whatever you're feeling right now, whatever happened, it won't always feel this way." She laughed, and it was the most broken sound Marcus had ever heard. "How would you know? You don't know anything about me." "You're right. I don't." Marcus took another step closer. "But I know what it's like to stand where you're standing. 3 years ago, I was on the Aurora Bridge, one step away from ending everything." Isabella's eyes widened slightly. "You?" "Me. 32 years old, successful architect, nice apartment, everything society says you should want, and absolutely certain that the world would be better off without me in it." The rain continued to pour, but neither of them seemed to notice anymore. "What stopped you?" Isabella asked, and Marcus could hear the genuine curiosity beneath her pain. "A homeless man walked by with his dog. The dog came up to me, this old golden retriever, and just sat down at my feet like he had all the time in the world. The man said, 'Brutus has a gift. He knows when people need a friend.' We stood there for 2 hours, me and that old man and his dog, and he never once told me not to jump. He just talked to me about his life, his losses, his reasons for getting up each morning despite everything." "Did he save you?" Isabella asked. "No," Marcus said honestly. "My daughter saved me, Emma. She was 4 years old then, and I realized that if I jumped, she'd grow up thinking it was somehow her fault. That she wasn't enough reason for me to stay." Isabella's expression crumpled. "I don't have a daughter. I don't have anyone. Tell me what happened," Marcus said gently. "Whatever it is, it helps to say it out loud." For a long moment he thought she wouldn't answer. Then, slowly, she held out what she'd been clutching to her chest. A wedding invitation. "Isabella Reeves and Nathan Morrison request the honor of your presence November 15th. Today's date," Marcus noted quietly, "was supposed to be," Isabella corrected, her voice breaking, "was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. We'd been together for 5 years," Isabella began, and once she started talking, the words came like a flood. "Met in college. He was everything I'd ever wanted. Kind, funny, ambitious. He proposed on the beach where we had our first date. I thought I knew him." Marcus moved closer, close enough now that he could see the mascara running down her face, the delicate lace of her dress ruined by rain and dirt. "This morning, I was getting ready at the hotel. My bridesmaids were there, my mom. Everyone was laughing and crying and taking pictures. It was perfect." Her voice hardened. Then Nathan's best man, Derek, showed up. Said he needed to talk to me alone. What did he tell you? That Nathan has another fiancé in Portland. That he's been living a double life for 2 years. 2 years. Isabella's laugh was bitter. He's a sales executive, travels constantly, and I just believed him. Every business trip, every weekend conference, every late night. All lies. Marcus felt anger rising in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. Did you confront him? Derek showed me pictures. Nathan with this other woman, Julia, at restaurants, on vacation, at her family's Christmas party. He has a whole other life I knew nothing about. She looked down at the dark water below. Everyone was waiting at the church. My mom had spent her savings on this wedding. My dad flew in from Singapore, 200 guests. And I had to walk out there and tell them the groom wasn't coming because he was already married to someone else. He's married to her? For 6 months. They eloped last spring when he was supposedly at a conference in Vegas. Isabella's hands shook as she gripped the invitation tighter. I'm not just the fool who got stood up. I'm the other woman who didn't even know she was the other woman. Marcus's heart broke for her. Isabella, that's not your fault. He deceived you. Everyone thinks I'm pathetic. I saw it in their faces at the church. The pity, the judgment. My best friend actually said, there must have been signs. Like I'm stupid. Like I wanted this. You're not stupid. You're someone who loved someone and trusted them. That's not weakness, that's courage. Courage? Isabella's voice rose. I gave him everything. 5 years of my life. I turned down a job in New York because he said he couldn't do long distance. I loaned him money to start his business. I introduced him to my family, planned our future, picked out names for our children. She was sobbing now. And he was lying to me every single day. Marcus watched her shoulders shake with grief and recognized himself in her pain. The betrayal, the humiliation, the crushing weight of wasted years. What about Julia? He asked quietly. Does she know about you? Derek called her. She had no idea either. Nathan told her he traveled for work too. She's devastated. Isabella looked up at Marcus with haunted eyes. We're both victims of the same man, and somehow that makes it worse. Because it means there's something fundamentally wrong with me. Something that made me not enough. No, Marcus said firmly, taking another step closer. There's something fundamentally wrong with him. You are enough, Isabella. You've always been enough. Then why does it hurt so much? She whispered. Why does existing feel impossible right now? Because you're grieving, Marcus said. Not just the relationship, but the future you thought you'd have. The life you'd planned. The person you thought you knew. That's a lot of loss to carry. Isabella looked at the water again, and Marcus's heart raced. He was close now, close enough to reach her, but he knew that any sudden movement could push her over the edge. Isabella, he said softly, can I tell you what happened to me? Why I was standing on the Aurora Bridge 3 years ago. She nodded slightly, still staring down at the darkness below. My wife, Linda, left me when Emma was 2 years old, Marcus began. Not for another man, for a woman. Her personal trainer, actually. Isabella glanced at him, surprised despite herself. She sat me down one night and told me she'd been lying to herself our entire marriage, that she was gay, always had been, and couldn't pretend anymore. She said marrying me was the biggest mistake of her life. I'm sorry, Isabella said automatically. The thing is, I understood. I couldn't be angry at her for finally being honest about who she was. But understanding didn't make it hurt less. Didn't make me feel less rejected, less inadequate, less like a failure. The rain was lessening now, turning from a downpour to a steady drizzle. Linda moved in with her girlfriend. She wanted joint custody. wanted to be part of Emma's life. And I tried to be mature about it, tried to co-parent amicably. But inside, I was falling apart. What pushed you to the bridge? Isabella asked. Emma's third birthday party. Linda brought her girlfriend, Michelle. And Emma called Michelle Mama M, and was so happy, so comfortable with her. In my head, I convinced myself that Emma would be better off without me confusing things. That Linda and Michelle could give her a stable two-parent home, while I was just the broken man who couldn't keep his wife. Marcus's voice grew thick with emotion. I wrote a note, got my affairs in order, drove to the bridge fully intending to jump. But you didn't. No. Because of Brutus the dog and his owner Sam. Because Sam talked to me about loss and grief and the lies we tell ourselves when we're drowning. And because Emma called me while I was standing there. She couldn't sleep and wanted me to sing her the bedtime song only I knew. The bedtime song saved you? Her voice saved me. The reminder that I mattered to someone. That my existence made someone's life better. Even if I couldn't see it in that moment. Marcus looked directly at Isabella. You matter too. Maybe you can't see it right now, but somewhere out there, your life has touched people in ways you don't even realize. I have no one, Isabella insisted. My dad lives overseas. My mom is so disappointed in me. My friends think I'm pathetic. The man I thought I'd spend my life with is a liar. Who exactly am I supposed to matter to? To yourself, Marcus said simply. You have to matter to yourself first. I don't know how to matter to myself, Isabella said, and there was such raw honesty in her voice that Marcus felt tears prick his own eyes. Let me ask you something, he said. What did you want to be when you were a little girl? Before life got complicated, before heartbreak, before any of this. What was your dream? Isabella was quiet for a long moment. A teacher. Elementary school. I wanted to help kids learn to read. What stopped you? Nathan. He said teachers don't make enough money, that I should go into business instead. So I did. I've been working in marketing for 5 years, and I hate every minute of it. So you gave up your dream for him? I gave up everything for him, Isabella whispered. My career, my goals, my identity. I became who he wanted me to be. And it still wasn't enough. Marcus took a deep breath. Isabella, I'm going to tell you something that might sound harsh, but I need you to hear it. You didn't lose yourself when Nathan betrayed you. You lost yourself long before that. The question isn't whether you can survive without him. It's whether you can survive without you. She looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time. Nathan didn't destroy your life, Marcus continued. He destroyed a life that was already built on shaky ground. A life where you'd made yourself small to fit into someone else's vision. And as devastating as today is, it's also an opportunity. An opportunity? Isabella's voice was sharp with disbelief. To rebuild. To become who you actually want to be. To matter to yourself again. By jumping off a bridge? By stepping back over that railing and fighting for the life you actually deserve. Isabella looked down at the water again, and Marcus held his breath. I'm so tired, she whispered. I'm so tired of hurting. I know. God, I know. Marcus's voice broke. But Isabella, tired doesn't last forever. Pain doesn't last forever. 3 years ago, I was convinced I'd never feel joy again. That I'd never laugh. Never hope. Never wake up grateful to be alive. And do you? Feel those things now. Every day. Emma starts first grade next fall. We go to the park every Sunday. She's obsessed with butterflies and thinks broccoli is a vegetable conspiracy. Yesterday, she told me I was her favorite person in the whole world. Marcus smiled despite his tears. 3 years ago, I almost missed all of that. I almost missed watching her grow up because I couldn't see past the pain I was in. What if I step back and nothing gets better? Isabella asked, and Marcus could hear the fear beneath the question. Then we figure it out together, he said simply. You don't have to do this alone. You don't even know me. I know you're brave enough to love fully, even when it leads to heartbreak. I know you're thoughtful enough to care about hurting your mother. I know you're standing here in a ruined wedding dress, asking hard questions instead of giving up. That's someone worth knowing. For the first time since Marcus had stopped, he saw something flicker in Isabella's eyes. Not quite hope, but not quite despair either. Something in between, possibility. If I step back, Isabella said slowly, what happens then? Where do I go? What do I do? First, you get somewhere warm and dry, Marcus said. My truck is right there. We can figure out the rest from there. I don't have anywhere to stay. The hotel room was under Nathan's name. He'd already checked out when I realized what was happening. Then you stay with me and Emma, just for tonight, until we can figure out a better plan. Isabella stared at him. You're inviting a stranger to stay in your home? With your daughter. I'm inviting someone who needs help to accept it. There's a difference. She was quiet for a long moment, and Marcus could see the war playing out across her face. The desire to give up fighting against the smallest spark of want to live. Tell me honestly, Isabella finally said, does it get better? Or do you just get better at pretending? Marcus thought about his answer carefully. Both, I think. Some days are genuinely good. Some days you're just good at functioning despite the pain. But the ratio shifts over time. Eventually, the good days outnumber the hard ones. How long did that take you? About 1.5 years. But everyone's timeline is different. 1.5 years, Isabella repeated. That's so long. It is, but it's also finite. It's 1.5 years versus nothing. Versus not being here to see what comes next. Isabella looked down at the wedding invitation in her hands, now completely destroyed by rain. I planned this day for 1 year. Every detail. The flowers, the music, the menu. I designed the invitations myself. I practiced my vows 100 times. What did they say? Your vows. That I would love him through everything. Through good days and hard days. Through laughter and tears. Through success and failure. Her voice broke. I meant every word. I believe you, Marcus said. But Isabella, those vows? They were meant for someone who would honor them. Nathan didn't. That's not a reflection of your capacity to love. It's a reflection of his inability to be worthy of it. So what do I do with all this love I still have? Isabella asked, and the question sounded genuinely curious. Where does it go? Toward yourself first. Then toward building a life that actually makes you happy. And eventually, toward someone who deserves it. What if I can never trust anyone again? Then you work on that too. Healing isn't linear. It's messy and complicated, and sometimes you take steps backward. But forward is possible. Isabella's grip on the railing loosened slightly. Marcus. Yeah. Will you tell me about Emma? About your favorite days with her? Marcus understood what she was really asking. Distract me. Give me reasons to stay. Help me remember what it feels like to want something. Last week, he began. Emma and I went to the pumpkin patch. She insisted on picking the biggest pumpkin she could find, then realized she couldn't carry it. So I ended up lugging this massive pumpkin around while she collected leaves and told me elaborate stories about each one. Despite everything, Isabella almost smiled. What kind of stories? Oh, very detailed ones. About leaf families and leaf schools and leaf adventures. According to Emma, leaves have very complicated social lives. She sounds wonderful. She is. And exhausting. And hilarious. And the reason I get up every morning. Marcus paused. What about you? Is there anything you're curious about? Anything you've wanted to try but haven't? I've always wanted to travel, Isabella said quietly. See Italy, learn to cook authentic pasta. Maybe write about it. Silly dreams. Not silly. Possible. All of it possible if you're here to do it. Nathan said traveling was a waste of money. Nathan said a lot of things that turned out to be lies. Isabella laughed, just a small sound, but it was there. True. Isabella, Marcus said gently, will you step back? Please. She looked at him, then at the water, then back at him. What if I can't do this? What if I'm not strong enough? You're standing here in a wedding dress, on the worst day of your life, still asking questions, still considering possibilities. That's strength. It doesn't feel strong. It never does when you're in it. But from where I'm standing, you look pretty damn strong. Isabella took a shaky breath. Then another. Then, slowly, carefully, she reached out her hand toward Marcus. He grabbed it without hesitation, his calloused fingers wrapping around hers as he helped guide her back over the railing to safety. The moment her feet touched solid ground on the right side, her legs gave out. Marcus caught her, holding her as she collapsed against him, sobbing like her heart was breaking all over again, which, in a way, it was this time breaking open instead of breaking apart. I've got you, he murmured. You're safe. I've got you. Marcus's apartment was small but warm, decorated with Emma's artwork and photographs of father-daughter adventures. Isabella stood in the doorway, still in her ruined wedding dress, looking like a ghost haunting the wrong life. The bathroom's through there, Marcus said, pointing down a short hallway. I'll find you some clothes, probably just sweats and a t-shirt, but they'll be dry and clean. I can't believe you're doing this, Isabella said for the 10th time since they'd gotten in his truck. Believe it. Now go take a hot shower before you catch hypothermia. 20 minutes later, Isabella emerged wearing Marcus's old college sweatshirt and a pair of flannel pajama pants rolled up at the ankles. Her hair was still damp, but the haunted look had faded slightly from her eyes. Feel better. Feel clean, at least. And warm. She looked around the apartment. Where's Emma? Staying at my mom's tonight. She does that on Fridays so I can work late if I need to. Marcus gestured toward his small kitchen table. Hungry? I was going to make grilled cheese. I haven't eaten since yesterday morning. Grilled cheese it is. They sat across from each other at the table, eating simple sandwiches and drinking tea, and the normalcy of it felt surreal after the bridge. Thank you, Isabella said quietly, for stopping, for staying, for this. You don't have to thank me. Yes, I do. You saved my life tonight. We saved each other, Marcus corrected. Helping you reminded me why I stayed 3 years ago, why it matters to show up for people. They were quiet for a moment. Then Isabella said, What happens tomorrow? I can't go back to my apartment. Nathan has a key. I can't face my family yet. I don't have a job that makes me happy or a life I want to return to. Tomorrow we figure out step 1. Maybe that's finding you a safe place to stay. Maybe that's calling a friend. Maybe that's just getting through the day. Step 1, Isabella repeated. I can do step 1. That's all any of us can do. Isabella stood in front of her 3rd grade classroom, reading from a book about a butterfly who thought she couldn't fly. 23 students sat cross-legged on the carpet, completely entranced. And what do we learn from Betty the butterfly? She asked when she finished. A hand shot up. That sometimes we can do more than we think. Exactly, Tyler. We don't know how strong we are until we try. After school, Isabella gathered her things and walked out to the parking lot where Marcus was waiting, Emma bouncing excitedly in the passenger seat. Miss Reeves, Emma called out. Guess what? Dad said we can get pizza. Pizza sounds perfect, Isabella said, sliding into the back seat. They'd been dating for 8 months now, taking it slowly, building something real on foundations of honesty and friendship. Emma had accepted Isabella into their lives with the easy grace of children, never questioning why her dad's friend had become such a constant presence. As they drove to their favorite pizza place, Isabella looked out the window at the Seattle skyline and thought about the night on the Fremont Bridge. How close she'd come to missing all of this, the career she actually loved, the found family she'd built, the second chance she almost refused. "You okay?" Marcus asked, catching her eye in the rearview mirror. "Better than okay," Isabella said honestly. "Just grateful." That night, after Emma was asleep and they were cleaning up the dinner dishes, Marcus pulled Isabella close. "I have something for you," he said, reaching into his pocket. "Marcus, it's not what you think. Not yet, anyway." He pulled out a photograph. "I found this in a box of stuff you left at my place when you moved out. I had it reframed." Isabella took the photo and her breath caught. It was the wedding invitation she'd been clutching on the bridge that night, but Marcus had carefully restored it and mounted it in a shadow box. Below it, he'd added a new piece of text. "November 15th, the day I didn't marry Nathan Morrison, the day I chose myself, the day I met Marcus Chen, the beginning of after." "I hope it's not too painful," Marcus said softly. "I just thought maybe it could be a reminder of how far you've come, of what you survived." Isabella set the frame down carefully and wrapped her arms around his neck. "It's perfect. You're perfect." "I'm really not," he laughed. "But I'm perfect for you, and you're perfect for me. And that's what matters." "I love you," Isabella said, and meant it with her whole healing heart. "I love you too." Later, Isabella sat on Marcus's balcony, looking out at the city lights. Her phone buzzed with a text from her former bridesmaid Sarah. "Saw your classroom featured in the Times. So proud of you." 2 years ago, Isabella had stood on a bridge in a ruined wedding dress, convinced her story was over. Now she taught 3rd grade, lived in a cozy apartment she'd decorated herself, and was building a life with a man who'd saved her by refusing to let her give up. She still had hard days. Days when she remembered the betrayal, the humiliation, the crushing weight of lost dreams. But she also had good days. Days filled with Emma's laughter and Marcus's steadiness and her students' breakthrough moments. Most importantly, she had herself back. The version of Isabella who wanted to teach, who dreamed of Italy, who believed in love but wouldn't settle for anything less than real. Her phone buzzed again. This time from Marcus. "Emma wants to know if you'll read her another butterfly story. The girl is obsessed with your books." Isabella smiled. A year ago, she'd started writing children's books about resilience and hope. Her first book, Betty the Butterfly, had just been picked up by a small publisher. "Tell her I'll be right there," Isabella texted back. "I have a million butterfly stories." And as she walked back inside to the family she'd found and the life she'd rebuilt, Isabella thought about that man on the bridge, the one who'd stopped when he could have driven past, who'd shared his own story of survival, who'd convinced her that tomorrow might be different than today. He'd been right. Tomorrow had been different, and so had every day after. If you're standing on your own bridge tonight, literal or metaphorical, please stay. Please reach out. Please give tomorrow a chance to be different. National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 988 Crisis Text Line. Text HOME to 741741. You matter. Your story isn't over. The best chapters might still be ahead.